Hello, Rahimatu.
Yes, ma.
Yes, I don't know. Like I said, sorry. I think I muted myself right there. So let me just start again. I was just saying that basically this class is supposed to hold every Tuesday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. But yesterday I had like technical difficulties. I wasn't able to drop the Zoom link and all that stuff. So that's why I'm trying to have a makeup class today. And I don't know if you've gone through the course material.
I just downloaded it today because I was also facing difficulties, technical challenges with the
Okay,
site.
okay. So there's a slide. The slide, if you go through the course, whatever, if you go through your the platform, you will see the course slide.
Okay.
Lesson notes, yes, you should see exactly what I'm sharing on the screen. So normally this would be displayed before we have the 1 hour live section so that you can go through the slides. If you have any questions, then we can come to class and discuss on those questions or those problems, and at the end of the day we'll be able to have solution to those problems concerning the course content. So basically, we are going to be starting with lesson 1, which is the nature of the business environment. So the slides are not going to be bulky. They are just things that, we will be able to go through. And during the course of the section, if you have any questions, we can just try as much as possible to deliberate on them. So we are going to be looking at 3 topics or 3 aspects. This is lesson 1. So for this particular topic, we are going to be looking at the business environment, and secondly, we'll be looking at the tax environment, and lastly, we'll be looking at the environmental analysis. So, what are the objectives for at the end of this lesson? And I expect every student offering MBA817, I expect them to be able to understand the nature of the business environment, and also to be able to describe the tax environment, and lastly to be able to explain the environmental analysis. So do you have an idea what a business environment is, Rahimatu? I don't know if you have an idea of what business environment is.
Well,
Mm.
I think that a business environment
Mm-hmm.
is like a place where business activities take place in, maybe it could be an organization.
Okay, so thank you for
And
so
also, and I think it has some certain rules and regulations on how it operates.
okay, okay. So that's a beautiful answer, Rahimatu, and I'm glad that you are able to throw more light into our discussion. So basically, I'm just going to do a little bit of the talking, and the students also will be able to throw more light into the lesson content. So basically, I guess we've been able to explain what a business environment is. And like the definition I put here on the slide, which is also in our course material, it says here that a business environment is a set of forces and conditions outside the organization's boundary that have the potential to affect the way organizations operate. So if you look at this definition, this is just to tell you that, they are actually forces, or conditions or things that actually make up a business. Do you understand? And these are the activities that actually go in and out of business. So without activities in any business, obviously you know that the business cannot function properly. So in this aspect, the nature of the business has to do with the activities, or those forces or function that actually make what the business. And if you look at those forces, the forces or the condition, they can change from time to time. You understand? Like now, they call this age, they call it the 21st century, and they call it the digital age. I hope you are aware of that we call this modern age, we call it the digital age. You've heard of when they say digital, because I think this is when technology is at its peak. A lot of organizations now, there's no organizations that you go to now that you won't find a computer. True of us, Rahimatu.
True, true, ma.
Every organization tends to have a computer to be able to operate, and what they've been able to identify is that these things actually make their life easy. Do you understand? So these are like one of those internal forces or functions, that have been able to change the business. So technology is one aspect that's been able to change, business activities. And even the business, you will have your threats, you would have your strengths, you have your weaknesses and your opportunities. So these things actually change from time to time. So these are forces or conditions that actually change from time to time. So basically, that is what the nature of business environment is all about. It just actually has to do with those forces, those conditions that actually make a business what it is. So we'll now be looking at, according to our slides now, let me scroll down. I guess you can see the slides, right?
Yes, I can.
Yes, okay. So we are now going to move on to the internal environment forces. So when we talk about the internal environment forces, these are those conditions or forces within the organization. These are the things that are inside the organization. These are the things that are operating inside the organization. And for this kind of forces, we would look at some of those factors. And basically, I think we have how many of them? We have the internal forces actually consist of, the owners. And who are the owners? The owners are, the people that own the business. There are people that have the legal property rights to that business. There are people that own that particular business, that organization. So these are one of the internal forces in the organization. So the owners, they can actually be single people. They can just be only one person who establish and runs a small business, or you can also have like owners that have are partners, or have joint partnership. Do you understand? And also you can have individual investors, who just buy stock in an organization. Do you understand? They are like the silent partners. Just buy stock in an organization, and have other team members that will actually oversee the runnings of the organization. So basically, the owners of the organizations also are those internal forces also that make up a business, that make up an activity of, a business. Then secondly, we will talk about the board of directors. So basically, what do you think are board of directors? Who are board of directors, Rahimatu? Do you have an idea of who board of directors are?
Sorry, ma, come again.
I said, do you have an idea who board of directors are? On our slides, we have number
Yes, I do.
internal environment.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so who are board of directors? Do you have an idea?
Yes, they are a group of individuals
Okay.
that normally represents the shareholders in a company or organization.
Okay, so thank you very much, Rahimatu. I'm grateful for that answer. That means that's to tell you that you have knowledge of what we have been talking about. So basically, the board of directors are, people that have been elected, to in a particular company to oversee the general runnings or the general management, of that organization. They see to the affairs of the organization is being done properly. They try as much as possible to make sure they put the right people at the right place, to be able to meet up with organizational goals and objectives. So those are who the board of directors are. So these are one of the internal environment. So these are one of the, internal factors, in the business environment. So we also have employees and managers. Here, you know what employees and managers are. So basically, the employees are that actually perform the day-to-day operations of the organization. You understand? These are people that work for the organization. They try as much as possible, to do what they've been asked to perform their responsibilities and duties towards the success of the organization. Without employees, obviously, our organization cannot grow. So basically, you need employees to be able to help you oversee or run the day-to-day affairs of that organization. And so for every organization, you have to employ the right people for that particular, job role. You cannot, for instance, if you are in a manufacturing company and maybe basically you have a textile company, for instance, and you sew like school uniform. Obviously, you cannot bring somebody that is a carpenter into that particular organization because he doesn't have the knowledge of how to sew clothes. He is more of like a furniture person, so he cannot fit into that specialization. So for every organization, you will need, a particular person or group of persons that have the knowledge of which your organization is all about, so that at the end of the day, they understand the organization culture, they understand their responsibilities and duties, and at the end of the day, the organization objective and goals will be met. So do you understand, our discussion on employees? And we move on to managers. And who are managers? Managers are people that oversee the employees. They make sure that they supervise the employees to the best of their ability. Like for instance, you cannot just have employees running over themselves, although you would have some organizations that do that, but you will need a manager. A manager will be the one that would actually oversee what the employees are doing. And for this lesson, it's been established that we have like three types of managers. And I don't know if you know the types of managers we have. I don't know if you've been able to you've been able to go through the types of managers, or maybe during the course of your undergraduate level, they taught you something on types of managers, Rahimatu. Do you have an idea?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can
Yes,
you
ma'am.
just tell us types of managers, as in the level of managers we have in organizations?
We have the top level managers,
Okay.
middle managers,
Okay.
and also their team leaders.
Okay, so basically we have top managers, middle managers, and first line managers. And so these are the types of managers. And basically, these three types of managers can be used in different organizations. In big organizations, this is where you have these three level of managerial role. You have like smaller organizations, sometimes you just only have one, maybe that's just the top manager or the middle manager. So it depends on the kind of organization. If it's a big one, you have like, multiple managerial roles. And if it's a small one, you might just have like a single managerial role. So basically, all in all, we are just trying to say that, in an organization, the internal environment or the internal factors, managers' role is to actually supervise the employees so that, they can actually smoothen the runnings of the organization. So we move on to the fourth factor, which is physical work environment. And what do we understand by physical work environment? So basically, a physical work environment is like the office space where you actually, perform your earnings as an employee or a manager or CEO or whatever. So that physical environment is that environment where people work. So this it can have different departments, it can have different rooms or whatever you call it, but basically it's just that physical environment where people work. So if you are in an organization, for instance, if you are working in a bank, they have the bank space where people actually do their running. So these are also one of the factors of the internal environment. Do you understand? You cannot just be working, there has to be an office space. But now we've moved on even from office space now to remote working now. Even in your house, now that, with this era of COVID, and you know that a lot of people have been working from home. So even in your home, you also have your working space. True of us, you will need to create something for yourself. Hello, Raimatu, are we
Yes,
together?
ma'am. Yes,
Are we
yes, ma'am.
together?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I say even now because of this COVID era, a lot of people have been working from home, and basically even at home you have your office space. You have, even if it's at the corner of your bed, you just have one table or chair that that whenever you have meetings or work and all that stuff, you create something for yourself. So the physical working space, is something also that surrounds that business activity. So do you understand? So because that is where the activity actually, runs. And lastly, we move on to the organizational structure. And for every organization, there's always a structure. You cannot have an organization without having a structure. From the structure, you have the departments, you have the, how would I put it, the how would I put it? The formation of the company, the objectives, the mission. So there's always a structure. There's always something that the organization is always. So that you cannot just have an organization without departments or without designation of responsibilities or duties. There's always a structure, and so that is also a business activity or a business environment. So every organization has a structure that they lean on to be able to attain their goals and objectives. So I don't know if you have any question concerning this first lesson that we just talked about, which is nature
Nature of the business
environment. So is there
environment.
anything you want to contribute?
I'm good to go.
Yes, dear.
I said I'm good to go.
We are good to go. Okay, so thank God for that. So the next one we are going to be looking at now is the taxed environment. So basically, this class is more of facilitating. So it's not as if I'm going to be teaching. That's why we have very short slides. Do you understand? So if you have any question, any interactive question, or you can just ask me so that we can talk about it and the rest of it. Do you understand? Rahima, are we together?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Are we together?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We are
Okay.
together.
Yes. So please, just yeah, I don't want it to be only me talking. You can also, contribute and all that stuff. So basically, from what I've just said now, so what do you understand basically by the business environment in total? What we just talked about now. Let me just ask you a question so that I know that we're on one page.
Sorry, ma'am. Come again. It was breaking.
Okay, okay. Oh, my battery is low. I'm saying that basically what we just talked now about the business environment, and we talked about the internal factor. So I'm saying now, from what we just said, what do you understand? As in, what's your understanding of, this particular topic? What do you understand by, the internal environment forces? Or do you want us to pass and move to the next one, and maybe later after the end of the section, then we can just ask questions?
Business environment. They refer to those forces outside the organization's boundaries.
Okay.
So and with the ways it affects the organization and and the way it operates as well.
Okay, so thank you very much, Rahima. So let's move on to the next. Sorry?
No, ma, go on, go on.
Okay, so we move on to the next content on the slide, which is a tax environment. And here we are asking what is a tax environment? And we say here that a tax environment is also called intermediate or operational environment, which has profound impact on the operations of a firm. So basically, what we're actually talking about in the tax environment is basically this environment is more of an operational environment. Do you understand? It's more operational in the sense that this is where the activities of a business actually occurs. Do you understand? Aside from the internal environment, the tax environment is where we have so much, to do. And we have various factors, do you understand, that constitute that tax environment. The first one here we have is the supplier. And you know who a supplier is. A supplier is somebody that actually, delivers, resources, raw materials, it could be materials, to, the organization. Do you understand? For instance, now, let me say I have an organization and we are into sewing of school uniform. So basically, I might have my supplier who is somebody that makes materials, textile. So the person supplies my organization those material, which is the raw material, so that my organization can actually just sew those school uniform and give it to the final consumer. So in every organization, depending on what they do, there are always suppliers. And these people actually supply, raw materials that is needed to produce goods and services. So those are who suppliers are. That's why I said that for the tax environment is an operational, activity, because this is where the main work is. That, these are the people you need, to be able to, these are the people that need, to be able to, attain that objective and goal in your organization. So without all these suppliers, especially if you are like a service, delivery organization whereby you provide them, sorry, especially if you are a goods delivery organization whereby you provide goods, to your customers. So you will need people that support some certain things, so that at the end of the day, those raw materials can be converted into finished goods. Do you understand? So basically, so one of those are the suppliers. And the second one we have on our list here is competitors, and
Competitor.
who competitors are. And when you say competitors are your rivals, people that you do the same thing together. And when you have competitors, it's always a very tight market, because everybody will struggle to be on the top. Everybody will struggle to make sure that they are the number one. So if we are going to use like telecommunications, we know we have so many networks and so many telecommunications. We have the like of Glo, MTN, Airtel, Nine Mobile, and the rest. And so many other telecommunication companies around. And they come up with different advertisement every time. You see Glo will say, oh, you can get 1 gig for 100 naira. Airtel will come with their own, so you can get 1 gig for 15. These are rivals, these are competitors. Do you understand? So this tax environment, obviously, it's a very tedious one. Like I said, this is where the operations of the organization is. Do you understand? And so with the competitors right now, you would every organization or that are into that particular brand, do you understand, will strive as much as possible to meet up with their customers' demand. And also, so under these competitors, we have different barriers to entry. And when we talk about barriers to entry, we have things that, before you enter into the market, do you understand? There are things that you need to look out for. Do you understand? So that at the end of the day, you would continue to emerge at the top. So we have the economic of scale, we have loyalty, and we have government regulation. So when we talk about economic of scale has to do with factors such as manufacturing products in very large quantities, buying inputs in bulk, or making more effective use of organizational resources. So you are looking at that, your skill, the cost of those things that you need to start producing. So you need to be able to weigh it with other organizations to see how they are doing their own. So at the end of the day, you don't fall short, or you are within the same capacity as theirs. And the name brand loyalty, this is something that's, even when they talk to you about brand loyalty, that means you want your customers to know your brand, and you also want to be loyal to that brand. You have some people that if you give them any other brand of cola, Coke is just what they drink. Do you know that? Hello?
Yes.
Hello, Rahimatu.
Yes. That's their very. Yes, ma. I can hear you.
Yes, I say there are some people that they cannot.
Hello, ma. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can there. Some people cannot do without, Coke is, if you give them Pepsi or Biggie Cola or whatever, they would not take it. They just prefer that Coke brand. Do you know that you have people like that?
Yes.
Yes, and those people, that's what you call brand loyalty. They are loyal to that brand. So a lot of competitors, would want their customers to be loyal to the brand. Like now, this Titus sardine fish, the Titus inside the tin.
Yes, ma.
Yes.
I know it.
And there are other brands also. But there are some people that will tell you that if it is not Titus, it is no other fish. So this is what we call brand loyalty. Those set of people are loyal to that particular brand. And that's what a lot of, organizations want that. And when they even increase the price, okay, for instance, now Titus is 600 and you still find people buying. Whereas there are other brands that are like 200, 250, 300, but they won't. But just because of they are comfortable with that brand, so, they can, go the extra mile to just remove that money to pay for that particular product. So that's one of the barriers to entry too. You need to create that brand loyalty where customers will keep coming back for more. Do you understand? And the last one we have here is government regulation. And when we talk about government regulation, before entering into any market, before an organization goes to into any market, obviously you have a lot of government regulation. For instance, now, before you can open a bank or before a bank can come into existence, their regulation, that bank has to go through CBN, it has to register for this, it has to do this and that. So for every organization, before they actually come into existence, you need to know government regulations so that at the end of the day, you are not being sued by somebody or the government is not suing you. So these are the barriers to entry under, competition. Do you understand? So at the end of the day, all these people actually strive for the same thing. They strive, for their brands to be loved. They strive also for them to have that economic of scale and also to be able to understand, the regulations that go, in the industry. So I hope I'm making sense. So if I'm not, you can always call my attention back, please. Are we good to go?
You are, ma.
Okay,
Yes,
so
ma.
under that the tax environment, we also have distributors, and we know who distributors are. Distributors are actually organizations that help other organizations sell their goods or services to customers. So if I'm an organization, obviously I cannot do the supplying, I cannot do the distribution, the marketing, and all that stuff. So you will need you will need people to be able to help you, distribute your products. So for instance, now if I'm in the, if I have an organization, like I said, that actually sells school uniform, a textile company that sells children's school uniform, basically I will need distributors. Do you understand? So obviously you will partner up with some distributors, that will come pick up those clothes and at the end of the day would go and sell them to, the final consumers. Do you understand? So it's just like, for instance, Coca-Cola
Yes.
now, you know that as an individual, you cannot go directly to Coca-Cola to go and buy your products. True or false?
True.
Yeah, you cannot just say, please,
I have a question.
yes, dear. Yeah.
Like under these distributors, can we also classify marketers as
Yes,
distributors as well?
yes. We can put marketers because obviously you would need those set of people. If you don't have like distributors, some organization have where they have marketers that will go and look for distributors themselves. Do you understand? Why some
Yes.
organizations will just have distributors depend on their organization structure. So the structure would depend on, how you want your organization to operate. Yes. So for this organization, let's say for instance that they just have majorly distributors that come to them directly. Do you understand? To purchase those items and at the end of the day, take it to the final consumer. So I was using Coca-Cola as an example. I say you as an individual, you cannot go to Coca-Cola company to buy one Coke, right? Can you?
Yes.
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 So basically, even Coca-Cola, they have their distributors and they have distributors in different local government area. Do you understand? So those or their marketers will go and source for distributors or, depending on how the organizational structure is, they will find distributors that will come, to bid for, products. And those distributors, they will go and deliver those drinks to them. And the distributors obviously have like retailers also. or even sub-distributor that will still come and collect from them and sell to the final consumer. So you always have distributors, in every business activities, especially when you deal with goods. Especially when you deal with goods. So lastly, we come to customers, and this is, individuals or group that buy the goods and services of an organization. So that's just that channel. You know who customers are. They are ones that, at the end of the day, they are the ones that buy, the goods, or the services of a particular organization. So I don't know if we are clear with the tax environment. I don't know if it's something, if you have any question, or if you want us
Ma'am, clear.
to go back to it again. Are we clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sure. I'm clear.
So so we move on to the last for today, which is the environmental analysis or scanning. And we say, what is environmental analysis? And environmental analysis is the scanning of the environment to identify changes or trends that have the potential to generate opportunities and threats to the organization's current or future intended strategy. So it's as easy as that. Basically, for every organization, you will have to run an environmental analysis. For you to run an environmental analysis, if it's a very good organization, they would need to check their environment to see possibilities, opportunities, to say, okay, I think, for instance, maybe now it's very hot. I think we should start doing ice block for people, because a lot of people will need it because it's very hot, and and maybe, for instance, if there's no light in that particular environment. So these are opportunities. So environmental analysis has to do with scanning, looking around, scouting around. Okay, this is what we are doing. How can we progress? We need to think out of the box and look for another opportunity to expand our business. How can we expand our business? Or are there any possible threats? Do you understand? Or maybe there's another company that just, open, and they are doing the same thing as yours. Okay, how can we eliminate them? Or how can we emerge, the best in this environment? So that's what environmental scanning or analysis is all about. So for every business, you will need to do an environmental analysis around your environment, so that it's either for possible opportunities or for possible threats, whichever one. So that at the end of the day, your business can keep growing. So under the environmental analysis, we have types of environmental scanning or analysis, and we are going to be talking about those types of environmental analysis and scanning. And we have three types in which we just mentioned, under the slides. And the first one is called irregular scanning system. And by the name irregular scanning system, it consists largely of ad hoc environmental studies. They emphasize on short-run reaction to environmental crises with little attention to future environmental events. So this irregular scanning system, it's basically talking about that this particular organization, or some organizations, don't pay attention to regular environmental scanning. That, they are okay. They just do it once a while, maybe like once in 5 years. They don't care. If they like, they sell. If they like, they don't sell. They don't care about the opportunities around them. They don't care about if there are threats, around them. They just do it. They don't look for future possibilities. They are okay. And they just do it once a while. So this one is irregular. They are not really concerned. Today they do it, tomorrow they are not. So this is what we call irregular scanning system. And the second one we have is regular scanning system. So this one, they are regular. And don't forget that regular doesn't mean that, they might just be doing it on a yearly basis. Do you understand? They just use
Yes.
it, how would I put it? How would I put
Annual basis.
it's regular, but it's not the way, for an organization that actually wants to move forward. Do you understand? It's just a very contemporary, it's retrospective. Do you understand? Some thoughts are given to the future condition, just some. It's not as if they do it, wholeheartedly or fully. They just do it maybe because it's under the organizational structure or schedule. Then lastly, we have the continuous scanning system. These ones are the ones that every time, even if it's every week or month, it is in their agenda. They do it, and these are the organizations that you see that flourish, because obviously they are always looking for possibilities. They are looking for threats also around them to see how they can conquer them or how they can acquire their competitors. Do you understand? So those are the continuous scanning system. These are the ones that, they scan the activities, they look at everything around them. What are the opportunities? What are the things that we need to do? They look at the future aspects. They started forecasting for 10 years to come. I don't know if you know all this football club. Are you what football club do you support?
I don't support any.
You don't support any. That means you don't watch football then.
No, I don't.
You don't. Okay. Why I'm just using this example is because you find out that where are you from?
I'm from Borno.
Okay, you're from Borno State. Okay, okay. So basically, I don't know if you read all this Instagram, Twitter, and the rest of it. Do you read them? Do you go through them?
Yes, I do. Yes,
Okay,
I do.
recently I heard that they signed Arsenal just signed one 9-year-old boy from Kaduna State. And basically, these football clubs, they actually scan their environment. They look for young kids that they can groom. So this is what you call a continuous scanning system. They look for opportunities around them, and they also look at their competitors or their rivals, not to also take, because if they don't sign that boy, obviously another club will quickly come and hijack him to sign him in. So that's the example I'm just using, that, this from small, they as young as 9 years old, you can imagine, a club trying to sign a child. That means they've seen the future of that child, and they are also planning the future of the organization also. So a continuous scanning system would help the organization, to forecast, the future, to be able to see the future and to be able to see where they are heading to. So basically, these are, the three types of environmental scanning, system. So I hope you've been able to understand what all these scanning, these types of environmental scanning system are.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we move on to the last one, which is the techniques for analyzing the business environment. So there are various kind of techniques for analyzing a business environment. So the first one we are going to be talking about is scenario planning. And you know what a scenario is how would I put it? Just like a scene. Do you understand? So a scenario planning is the formulation of multiple forecasts of future conditions, followed by an analysis of how to respond effectively to each of these conditions. So what they are trying to say is that for this scenario plan, you don't know the future. Obviously, you don't know what is going to happen tomorrow, do you?
No, ma'am.
You don't have an idea what is going to happen, but you have a plan. For instance, you've said, okay, come tomorrow, Thursday 16th, I want to go and make my hair. I want to go and wash my clothes, or I'm going to the market, or I'm going to cook. It's already a plan, but you don't know if actually those things you will do them. True or false?
True.
Yes, so these are what organizations do. They have that futuristic plan. They have different scenarios. They plan those things ahead. Do you understand? So that at the end of the day, Once you know there's a saying that if you fail to plan or you plan to if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. True or false?
True.
Yes, so this is what they are doing. They are playing so many scenarios, they are planning so many things. Do you understand? So at the end of the day, whichever one works for them, would emerge the best for their company. Do you understand? So this is what we call scenario planning. So they plan for the future. They have different scenarios to see, okay, just in case of incasity. Okay, for instance, Raimatu is going to wash clothes. Okay, if I don't wash clothes, that means I'll go and make my hair. If I don't make my hair, that means I'm going to cook. So you're having multiple scenarios, multiple planning in your hair. So even if those two don't work, at least one of them will work. True or false?
True, ma.
So that is what scenario planning is all about. For organizations, they try as much as possible to plan for the future. They try for the best. They try to plan for the worst case scenario and also plan for the best case scenario for the organization. So that's what scenario planning is all about. So we move on to forecasting. And what do you understand by forecasting? Do you have any idea what forecasting is from your own point of view?
Yes, ma, I do.
Okay, so what is forecasting?
Forecasting is just like prediction. Maybe you're
Okay.
predicting a future trend.
Okay, so thank you very much, Rahimatu. So forecasting is about predicting. So you want to predict what will happen in the future. So you are trying to predict, futuristic, maybe for instance, predicting your organization, what they will be supplying in future, or predicting, the services that would be rendered and all that stuff. So, every organization would forecast. They will predict their income or their output or input in the next 5 to 10 years. Do you understand? So that's what forecasting is all about. So under this, that's where you have the environmental scanning. You need to predict. Do you understand? So these are the things that fall under environmental scanning. Then we also have the SWOT.
What?
SWOT, SWOT, the SWOT analysis, where we have the S for strength, W for weakness, O for opportunity, and T for strength.
Opportunities and threats.
So yes, this is another analysis where a lot of organizations actually focus on. So you need to be able to focus on your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities around you, and also the threats. So these are one of the environmental analysis, your SWOT. You need to be able to consider all these things. You should not be relaxed as an organization. Every organization needs to know that, okay, this is my strength. Maybe I do more of marketing or whatever. They need to know which is your weakness, and you need to work on the weakness also. And you need to know the opportunities that you have around you and the threats also around you. So basically, that's it for the SWOT analysis. Then we move on to benchmarking, which is the last of it. And what do we understand by benchmarking? And benchmarking is actually the process in which an organization undertakes to compare its practices and technology with those of other organizations. So if you want to benchmark, you are trying to see how you are comparing your organization with another organization that does something similar to yours. So you want to see how the process is so that at the end of the day, you can also outsmart them or outbeat them in whatever thing they are doing. So you are benchmarking them. They are trying to get. That's why you have spies. And people will want to go to another organization to see how they are doing it well, especially if you are in that field. So you want to go there, you want to see how they are doing it. You send somebody there to spy on their work. Do you understand? So that do you watch SpongeBob?
I used to.
You used to.
Yes.
Okay, Plankton
Yes.
and Mr. Krabs.
Yes, I do.
So you see how Plankton always tries to steal Mr. Crab's secret formula.
Yes.
So that's like benchmarking. You want to try to see how you can, take, if that organization is doing well, you want to, and especially if you are doing the same thing, you want to see how you can actually gain from them, and so that, at the end of the day, people are true, your rivals, your competitors, but you want to see how that person is doing it so that you yourself can imitate them or try to be better than them. So basically, that's what benchmarking is. So I think we've come to the end of this section today. I don't know if you've been able to understand all what we've just talked about. I don't know. Are you okay?
Yes, okay. I'm satisfied.
Okay. So is there anything you would like to contribute to the class?
Well, I think it's about this SWOT analysis.
Okay.
I think the SWOT analysis is more for analyzing your strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. That means for your own business, can it also be the advantage and disadvantages?
Yes, it can. Yes, if whichever way you want to use it. Yes, it can be an advantage to you. It can be a disadvantage to you. Do you understand? Yes. Yeah.
Yes, I do. I do. I'm clarified.
Okay, so I don't know. That's it. So you can use this email address instead of the now email address, which is on the screen right now. So you can copy that.
Okay.
It's temirima@yahoo.com. So in case you have any clarification or anything that you need to be clarified on, so you can always try as much as possible to get, a hold of me. Yes, on this email address. So I think we've come to the end of this class today. So hopefully next week, Tuesday, by God's grace. So what you just need to do is to just click on that Zoom link. It's just one Zoom link we'll use for the whole of the class for the 8 weeks. So you just keep clicking on that link. Do you understand? So we are not going
Yes.
to generate any Zoom link. Yeah. So we just keep clicking on that particular link. Yeah. So I think we've come to the end of this class, Rahima. So it's so nice to be with you. And just in case you have any questions, we'll be having discussion forums where we would have, I will throw in questions and, you would discuss about it. And we'd also have quiz assignments, for this particular course. Yeah. So hopefully I'll see you next week, Tuesday, by God's grace. So have a lovely week and stay safe. So
All
take
right, Ma. Thank you.
bye,
Have a
dear.
nice
Bye.